Yes, I am live. Hello there, and I'm Mark Banfield, and this is Listen Up. So listen up to what we're saying. This is our weekly broadcast where we talk about all things selling, all things automotive. So today we're going to talk about what I listed as qualifying, the needs assessment. We'll get into the different terms that you can do it, but we're going to have fun today. If you're watching us on Facebook, give us some likes, share us, let other people know that we're here, because this is good information. If you're watching on YouTube, like the channel, subscribe to the channel so you always know when our broadcasts show up. Put your comments in the comments box. We will get to them. If not during the broadcast, then immediately after. But share us, give us likes, tell your friends, bring everyone on. Let's have a good time. And today, we're going to talk about that first part of the sales process. But joining me today on our broadcast will be, first of all, Ron Catronio. Ron, you want to give us an intro for yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Ron Catronio, professional age, based here in South Florida. Looking to provide some useful and valuable information. Just as they say, listen up.
Okay. Also joining us will be Alex Thayer from up in the Michigan, Detroit area. Alex, you want to do an intro?
Yeah, hi, I'm Alex Thayer, Michigan Dealer Service. Just looking forward to joining the podcast today or webcast today and getting some information out there and making a difference.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
And again, I am Mark Banfield. I have been in the business forever. It seems like Banfaith Sales Systems is the banner I'm going under now. But if you need to improve your closing ratios, if you need to learn more about what it takes, give us a call, give us a contact, and we will get you set up. Okay, so here we are. Let's have some fun. So we're talking about, I listed it as qualifying, okay? Oh, we lost Ron. Ron, where'd you go? Come on back, buddy. Join us when you get so Alex, it's you and me right now. Hey, live stuff, right? What do you do?
Absolutely.
So you can call it qualifying. You can call it profiling. You can call it doing the needs assessment. You can call it counseling. Basically, what I want to talk about is that first initial contact with the customer. All right. So far too often when customers go to dealerships, they walk through the door and the first thing that they hear from a customer, the first question typically that gets asked of a customer is, how can I help you? All right. What are you looking for? How can I help you? Customers at that point in time are going to go everywhere. So let's start with that. So what should be a proper greeting for the customer before you even get into the interaction? And I don't care which one of you guys go first. Let's make this just a nice discussion. So how should a salesperson start with a customer when they walk through the door?
You want to go, Alex?
Yeah, simple greeting. How you doing? My name's Alex Thayer. Welcome to the dealership. I guess there's two different ways to go. One, I like at some point in the conversation working in what are you here to accomplish today? And just getting right up front, what do they want to do? Finding out if they have time constraints. Do you have a couple of hours, or are you on your lunch hour? But meet and greet, how you doing? Very, you have to get up out of your seat and go up and meet the customer at the door and properly introduce yourself in the dealership.
Yeah. Ron, you want to add to that?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's always a struggle. I think everybody, especially newbies, are always a little reluctant to walk up to a stranger, especially on a dealership lot. And you need to make it a natural approach. Smile, be friendly, extend your hand, do the pleasantries, get them out of the way. Alex's question about what are you trying to accomplish today? What's the goal of your visit today? Don't try to sell them anything. Try to build a relationship. I always had this policy that you're always going to leave my desk with cookies on your breath. Sit them down, get them a cup of coffee. I used to buy those 5-pound tubs of butter cookies, and I'd put some on a dish and I'd bring them in, and we'd sit there and dunk cookies for a few minutes. Treat them like they're visiting your home.
So could you use the phrase, what brings you in today?
Sure.
Okay. So,
you
what
think
I'm
about
hearing, go ahead, Ron.
They're at a car dealership.
Right.
What brings you in
Are
today?
they here for service? Are they in for parts? Are they in to look for a vehicle? I mean, there's a variety of things that can happen when that customer walks through the showroom door, right?
Well, our assumption should be that they're looking to purchase a car. They're looking at an automobile. What attracted you to our store today? Alex said, what are you trying to accomplish? Those are great questions.
Okay. So once we get so what I'm hearing is basically do a natural, like you would anywhere else in a business situation, introduce yourself, greet the person properly. I used to always think about it as you're greeting someone like they're coming into your home, right? Greet them. And they don't know who you are, so you've got to introduce yourself first, and then they will introduce you. They'll introduce themselves in a way they're comfortable with. Sometimes they'll give you a Mr. Smith. Sometimes they'll say, I'm Bob, whatever. But the salesperson needs to remember that because that's how they need to respond to the customer, how the customer greeted them, right?
Yeah, be light and casual.
Yeah. So we get past those pleasantries and we find out that they're there for a car. In today's world, what far too often happens, salespeople here, is I saw this vehicle on your website. I saw, I'm driving an F-150, I want an F-150. I'm driving a Suburban, I want a Suburban. Okay? If a customer does that, how should the salesperson respond?
My first approach is going to be sit them down. Don't just go out to the inventory and look for something. Just say, that's wonderful. And we have an excellent selection. Have a seat. Can I get you some coffee? Relax. If someone came to your home, what would you do? Greet them at the door and then, shuffle them back out the back door? No, you want to greet them. You want to slow down and say, Mr. Smith, thank you for stopping by. Have a seat. Can I get you some coffee? How do you take your coffee? Would you like a couple of cookies? Relax with them.
There was, I'm a big fan of the TV show The Big Bang Theory. It's now off the air, but when it was on, and one of the it was almost a gag, but but to me it was very valid. Sheldon Cooper, the one geeky kind of standoffish guy, he learned from his mother and he enforced the policy of you always offer your guest a warm beverage. So he was always making tea for people, and it was almost a joke on the show. But in a way, it's a very valid concept, right? Give them something to help make them feel comfortable. Now, Alex, I'm going to go to you this. I want to play off of what Ron just said. And what Ron just said was very, very true. I hate to use the phrase slow them down, but sometimes they want to rush through some of the good stuff. But I want to modify what Ron said in this. How do you deal with that customer that you greet on the lot? Do you still try to bring them inside, or do you just deal with them on the lot? Alex?
Yeah. If they're on the lot, you need to answer their questions and accomplish what they're there to accomplish. But ultimately, you need to come back in and sit down at your desk and really have a conversation with the customer so that you're guiding them in the right direction.
Do customers have a fear of doing that? Are they afraid of going into your desk? If you say, hey, let's go inside and talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Worse than going to a dentist for a root canal.
So how do you...
I think it's important. It is taking a step back and slowing down, and kind of you do have to slow yourself down as well as the customer, and take things step by step and make sure you're doing a good needs assessment and getting the information out of the customer on what it's going to take to sell them a car. The slower you can take it up front, the quicker your closing will be.
You take them, you walk up to them, a pleasantry. They say something, you comment with something like, that's excellent. We have a wonderful selection. Follow me. Turn and walk. They will follow you. Have a seat right here. They will sit.
But what if
the get you some coffee?
What if the customer fights that and says, "Hey, we're in the lot. Don't you know your inventory? Why don't you just, I'm looking for a truck. Why don't you just show me the trucks?"
So I'm trying to do my job properly. Rather than speeding and making a misstep, I'd rather not do that. Take a few minutes to relax.
I want to make sure I get you the right truck. Come on in. Follow me.
Yeah, I'm here to do one thing. Help you. Rushing is not going to help either one of us.
So, and Ron, again, I'm agreeing with you. I just want to make sure that, especially for the newbies, the newer salespeople watching, you tell them that, are they not going to push back sometimes? And you have to almost insist or have an answer for as to why we're going inside.
I'll go back to something I've said now several times. Timid salespeople have skinny kids. Be a little bit, you might say, professionally forceful. Dominate the conversation. Be the extrovert. Don't be the introvert, because all they're going to do is lead you around by the nose.
Right.
Now, that's the business. Relax. Don't get crazy. Yeah. Come on in. Have a seat. Let me get you something to drink.
The worst
have a conversation with them.
Yeah, one of the worst things for a salesperson to do with a new customer like this is to immediately take them into the inventory, because the customer may have a vehicle in mind that you're taking them to, but on the way, they're going to see all these other shiny objects, aren't they? And they're going to say, "Oh, what about that one? What about that one? What about that one?" And you don't know anything about that customer yet. So let's move. So let's say we've got them in the office. We've got them sat down. So now what do we need to do for that customer? What's the next thing we need to do in this process?
Alex?
Have a conversation with them about what they're looking for.
So how do you
look into what you said you had a Ford Explorer? Give me some things that you really liked about that car. What are some things that you didn't like about that car? What do you not want on your new car?
Okay. When you're having that conversation, this is a fact-finding expedition, right? This is part of that needs assessment. You're trying to find out what their likes, their dislikes. Should you, as a salesperson, and I'm only bringing this up because I've had people push back on this with me, should you take notes? Write that information down on a pad of paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why don't salespeople do that?
Lazy.
Okay.
It's a process. It's not slowing down and going through a process. It's going from 0 to 100 in 2.2 seconds. It's just slowing down. Writing down what the customer's looking for shows that you're engaged in what they're saying and that you're listening to them.
Sir, ma'am, do you mind if I take some notes while we talk? I'd hate to miss some important parts of your decision today.
I agree with all that. I've had some salespeople tell me that they're afraid it makes them look unprofessional and like they don't know what they're doing.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what I tell them. That it's an unfounded fear that some salespeople have. They don't want to take a pad out on the lot with them. I used to take it with them.
Taking notes. If you're taking notes on a sheet of paper on your desk with 100 other things written on it in front of the customer, and it's getting shuffled in with all the other stuff that's on your desk. I mean, your desk needs to be clear. You have a piece of paper, a pad of paper out for notes for your customer. It's not some scribble pad.
Right.
I mean, it's it's for that customer. So that can make a big difference too. You don't want to.
You want theirs to be special and isolated and just them, right? Yeah. I know salespeople that have used calendar desk blotters, and they just scribble all kinds. There's all kinds of stuff written on that. First of all, I'm not sure that's legal to put all that information inside of all those people. Secondly,
privacy issues.
Yeah, privacy issues. Secondly, really, are you going to remember which one is me versus which one is this other guy you talked to today? All this stuff's jumbled together. But again, that's not professional. Having and I've got one right here, something along this lines, a portfolio. Whoops, thanks, computer. Having a portfolio, with a blank pad of paper on the inside. This is professional, and have that single pad of paper for that customer, fresh and clean and new for every customer.
Even better if you can take your notes on an iPad or a piece of technology that's integrated with your sales process.
Right, and I think more people are going to be comfortable with that as time goes on, aren't they?
I have always used a spiral bound book, and you know what I would do with it? I would date it when I started it, and I keep them. So if for some reason I got to go back, I know it's in here in this particular date range, and I go find my notes. Right. And I still have those books till today.
So with one customer, Ron, you'd use a spiral bound book. So they come in and talk to you today. You don't close them, and today's Thursday. They come back on Saturday. Do you start a new page on Saturday or continue today's page?
I have notes. I go back, so I know when they're there because I date my book. Now, keep in mind, Alex said using an iPad or some kind of a tablet. That's a great thing. You just go back to those notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what kind of questions, what type of things do we want to learn during this conversation?
You want to know about the new car, their current used car, their financial character, their timing. There's certain things you want to qualify. What are you looking for? When are you looking to accomplish that? What are you driving now? As Alex said, what do you like about that vehicle? What is your financial character? Do you have a current payment? What's your payment? You want to ask those questions. Cash down. What were you planning to invest in a new car today? I have several pages of notes that I'll be happy to send anybody from one of my books. It's a great outline.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe, Ron, if we can prepare that for next week, we'll offer that on next week's seminar to email to anyone that gives us their information. Happy to send that out. One thing that you mentioned in that early list that I really think is important for salespeople to learn is timing. When are you looking at doing this? Right? If it's like, I know, Ron, you've got a lease. You're looking at your next vehicle, but your lease isn't up until next spring. So you're willing to do it now if they can, but you understand without a pull ahead, you're going to have to wait. So the salesperson needs to triage you. How much time do they give you today knowing that you're not going to buy until March?
Well, think about this. Now, I talked about financial character, financial health. What if this person just came into an inheritance and they've got $50,000 and they're driving a car now that they settled for and they want to get out of it today?
Right.
Again, don't be assumptive. Just flow with the flow. Are you in a position to make a financial decision?
Yeah, exactly. Alex?
No, I agree. Moving the customer down the path and just gathering information from them on what they're looking to have happen and how you provide that to them. You're always trying to get the small minor commitments, the yes questions with your needs assessment. So
let me give you a scenario. Tell me, you guys, give me real life, real world, how you would deal with this. So you've got a customer, you've talked to them, you've gotten some good information. Let's say they're now driving one of the small SUVs, something like a RAV4, a CRV, a Ford Escape, something along that line. They want to get something along similar to that, not necessarily another one, but something similar. And they're in a lease currently, and their lease is up in 45 days. So timing is they need to do it quickly. Let's say their current payment is $275. Okay? How do you handle it when they say, I want to lower my payment? I want to take my payment below $250 because things have changed. I'm now buying a house, blah, blah, blah. But I need my payment now to go down $25, $30.
Mr. Smith, I can make your payment anything you like. Obviously, the larger the cash down, the lower the payment. Were you planning on putting something like $4,000 or $5,000 down? Or maybe you're more comfortable with a larger cash investment.
Okay, what if they say, I want to do this with no out of pocket?
If we can accomplish it, we'll do our best. But obviously, down payment is going to lower the monthly payment. And to lower your payment, you're going to have to look at a car that's substantially less MSRP or the appropriate down payment to reduce it to meet your financial goals.
Okay.
It depends on where you're at in the process as well. But one thing is you just have to bypass payment. You're not even talking about payment. That's great. You want to lower your payment. You know what? Payment doesn't matter until we figure out what car works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it's a comfortable car for you. The payment's the easy part. Let's figure out the car that you're looking for.
I agree with that, Alex. I agree with that.
And great point. So what do we do then to make sure we've got the right car for the customer? What are the ways that we go for that?
They've got a really solid test drive based on the hot button points that you figured out when you were sitting at your desk and during your needs assessment. You're pulling up a car that you think works for them based on the conversation you've had with them, looking for the customer. Oh shoot, I forget the word I'm looking for. When the customer has an issue with the car, you've got to overcome their objection, right?
Okay.
So you want to bring a car up that you think fits, but ready for an objection because you need the objection to overcome to sell them the car.
What you don't want to do is over-assume, and you bring something up, customer loves it. Oh yeah, that's what I want. That's exactly the car I want. Then you find out in finance that they can't financially accommodate it. I'd rather find that out early than find it out when they're sitting with the finance officer. That's why you do the query up front.
Mm-hmm.
You gather that information, you put them on the appropriate car. Well, Mr. Smith, that car, your budget you're saying is $250. That car is going to be in the $350 range. Can you financially accommodate that? Ask the questions. Don't be afraid. All they can do is agree or disagree and rebuttal.
Okay.
If they say no, you have an objection that you need to overcome, which is what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this question, and this may sound silly, but you guys know this can be a big deal in selling a car. What if you pull that car up? You've asked all the questions. You missed one minor question, which is going to come out when you pull the car up. So you pull the car up. It fits everything they told you they want, but they walk out to it and say, I don't like that color. I was wanting this.
Here, check this out. Come here and sit in the driver's seat for me. How's the interior look? You can't even see the exterior color.
You can't
This
see the
will work
color.
for you, won't it? The exterior color doesn't matter. You're just looking at the inside.
Okay.
I bought a Corvette some years back, and I left the house and I told my wife, I'm going to buy the typical Italian colors. I'm going to buy red, white, or black. When I got to the dealership, I end up coming home with a midnight blue.
Right. That's close enough to black, right? Okay, so
well, going back real quick though, too, is hey, I don't like the red. Great. Other than red, is there anything else holding you back from this car? Other than the color, this sounds like the perfect car for you. Let's get that color figured out. How important is it really for you?
100%, Alex. 100%.
so the test drive can be really critical, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I see this far too often. Salesperson in the car on the test drive or not in the car on the test drive?
Salesperson should be on the test drive.
A customer will not pay for a car financially until they own it mentally.
Okay.
Help them have mental ownership.
Are there
test drive is important? It's part of the minor yes commitments from the customer. Yes. So, all right, customer, take a right at this next corner. They're going to take a right. They're listening to you. It gives you small, minor affirmative answers.
You know,
From
give
the
it the
customer.
gas, feel the acceleration, right? Listen to
Yeah.
how quiet it is. So objections also can come up on the test drive, and if the salesperson isn't there, they don't get addressed. Correct? Yeah. So you got to be there. So let me ask this: are there issues with salespeople going on test drives in today's world, in today's reality?
Sure, there is.
So how do we get around that?
Well, number one, you always get a copy of their driver's license. You always let your boss know where you're going. You have a planned route. So if all of a sudden you leave the dealership at 12:30 and it's 1:30 and you're not back, someone should start looking for you.
What? Okay, so I love that suggestion, Ron. So everyone write that down. The dealership should have a planned route for test drives, that every test drive goes on it, so that they can check the route real quick to find out, did you break down? Did something happen? Okay, and so if the car's not on that route, they can then immediately start to do something about that. That's a great suggestion. My question was more aimed, though, at the world of Corona, and not the beer, but the virus. So will some people potentially object to salespeople being in the car on a test drive because of COVID-19?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Is that something that we just have to deal with?
Well, the cars usually now they're disinfecting them prior to them showing it to anyone new. The car has been disinfected. If they prefer to go alone, I'll let them go alone.
So my question, though, is getting back to those objections that come up on test drives. Do we now have to be better at asking the questions when they came back from the test drives to find out if there were any issues at all?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Again, things that need to be recognized on this. So the key to this, we're getting to the wrap-up point here. These things go fast when we have these nice discussions like this. So we're almost done, guys. So in recapping, what we need to do during this early part of the process is we really need to focus, ask questions, listen to the customer, take notes, pay attention to what they tell us, because they'll tell us what they're looking for, won't they? They'll tell us what they want to buy. We need to listen between the lines, though, to know if what they want to buy is what they need to buy. Correct? Because those two things don't always go together. Now, just because it doesn't fit their needs, could they still buy it because they want it?
Sure.
Yeah. And maybe a second car, maybe whatever. So you need to actually follow through and ask the right questions. And if you ask the questions, if you listen to their needs and their wants, they'll tell you what they want. And then our job gets a whole lot easier. Everywhere from closing them to negotiating to getting the car delivered. Right, guys?
People buy from people they like and trust.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
sit down with them like they've just came into your home. You break some bread with them. You share a cup of coffee. When you get up from that desk, you have now started a friendship. This is not just sell me a car. I still have today. I had 3 friends that were my friends that I sold to. One, unfortunately, has passed away. The other 2, I speak to them virtually every week. Today, one of them I spoke to yesterday, my buddy named Al Rogers.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's time for that soapbox moment, guys. So Ron was just talking. So, Alex, I'm going to give you the first soapbox.
Excellent. Hello, Alex there. It was an interesting conversation. It is important to make sure you slow yourself down during your conversation with the customer. You do this on a daily basis. Customers only buy a car once every few years. So it's important to mentally think about just slowing your process down, especially during the most important part of the needs assessment. Everything here sets up the closing.
Great. Okay, Ron, your soapbox moment.
I agree with everything that Alex said.
Is that all? I mean, you talk, Ron. Talking's not a problem for you. So that's all you got?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go with mine. Basically, guys, like these guys have said, ask questions, listen, guide the customer. Don't let that customer get too much in control because they don't always know what they really want and need. So make sure that you can get them in the right direction. So this has been great, guys. How do I get myself off of full screen? There we are. Thank you all for watching and listening. We appreciate you coming. Come back next Thursday. We're going to be talking more about the selling process, and we may actually have something to give away. Ron and I will get together and put that information together for you, but we'll have a giveaway for you next week. So until then, have a great week. Keep selling. Move them cars. Have a good time, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great week.